Welcome to Network Africa. Coming up on the program, the Israeli Prime Minister Mr. Benjamin Netanyahu is in Ethiopia as he prepares to conclude his East Africa tour. Then, one day after Oscar Pistorious was sentenced to 6 years behind bars, South Africans and analysts cry foul. And later, a protest by Zimbabwean taxi drivers against the police crackdown turns violent. Thanks for joining us on Network Africa. I am Bisi Adebayo. The Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has arrived in Ethiopia, the final stop on his African tour. The country was one of the first in Africa to set up diplomatic relations with Israel, with their ties dating back to the 1960s. But the relationship has not always been plain sailing, as Ethiopia has on numerous occasions severed ties with Israel, including during the Arab-Israeli War in 1973. However, they were restored in the 1980s after the signing of a peace treaty. Well, let's give you a quick rundown of what Prime Minister Netanyahu's itinerary looks like for his Ethiopia visit before he returns to Israel. The Israeli Prime Minister will meet with his Ethiopian counterpart. He will then hold meetings with President Mulatu Teshome. He'll deliver an address to the Ethiopian Parliament and will also visit the Ethiopian National Museum. We're still looking at the Israeli Prime Minister's East Africa tour. It's been a very busy week for Mr. Netanyahu, who has been in Uganda, Kenya, Rwanda, and now Ethiopia. While in Rwanda, Prime Minister Netanyahu paid tribute to the victims of the 1994 genocide, saying that the two countries share a special bond. He also laid a wreath where the remains of more than 200,000 victims were buried in mass graves.
The horror, we survived. We never lost hope, and you never lost hope. Today, Israel and Rwanda are successful states and models for progress.
In other news, yesterday, South African Paralympic athlete Oscar Pistorious was sentenced for the 2013 murder of his then-girlfriend, Reva Steenkamp. The recommended minimum sentence for Pistorious was 15 years, but Judge Thokozile Masipa sentenced him to 6 years. Analysts say after the conviction, the Paralympic star was afforded a sympathetic narrative by the judge, a reminder that his kind of language perpetuates the idea that the perpetrator of a heinous crime against a woman has simply too much to lose to be punished in full. Analysts also say Pistorius' experience is a harsh echo of the way that society protects powerful white men. Well, joining us from Johannesburg is the CEO of Junto Media, Mr. Lucas Molloy. Mr. Molloy, thank you for joining us on the program.
Thank you very much, and good day to you.
Well, it's been 24 hours since Pistorius received a 6-year sentence for murder. Can you tell us about some of the reactions you've heard?
Look, the reaction that has been out has been very much on social media. And it has been a very mixed bag of reaction. We have seen an outrage where people are sort of attacking the system, where we've seen also those that are in support of Oscar coming through and stating their case as well. So it has been a very active participation of the normal men on the ground having their say on the matter and how they think Judge Masipa has handled the case itself.
What about the Steenkamp's family? Has there been any sort of reaction from them?
At this moment, in terms of them talking to the media, there hasn't been anything. The last time you'd remember that we had Barry Steenkamp, which is the father of River, saying anything was when he was giving, or when he was called on the stand in for the judging proceedings, and that was the only time we really had seen him talking after the trial itself, and he was really a head man, as any father would be. So that was the last time we had anything from them, and I suppose it is still new, and the family is still trying to deal with the judgment that was passed.
Now, how do you think the outcome of this trial has affected how the people of South Africa view the justice system?
Look, it is much of a problem. We're seeing two things. See, the fear is in a country like South Africa, where we're seeing crime that is on the increase all the time. It sends the wrong message, the message that people can be able to get away with the crime that they commit. But also on the other end, it also highlights the issue of the rich versus the poor, saying that those that are rich and have got means to avert or to run away from paying the price of their crimes are able to do that, and those that are less fortunate will always pay a higher price on issues like this.
Well, do you think this could in any way reopen wounds of racial discrimination, especially as some analysts say that it would have gone the other way if Pistorious was black?
Look, we already have seen much of it already being discussed. We've seen a lot of cases. We'll take, for an example, the case of the hip-hop artist Molemo Jujuk Marwanye, who got a lengthy sentence. We saw Sindisiwe Manqele just recently last month receiving a 12-year sentence for killing the rapper boyfriend Flava. And they received quite a hefty sentence. We've seen also issues where people are saying people that have killed rhinos, people that have robbed people on screen had gotten a longer sentence than what Oscar was given. The biggest issue that's coming up is that, remember, when Oscar was charged with culpable homicide, he received a 5-year sentence, and now with murder he has received only 1 year extra, making it 6 years. So it is bringing that issue of, is Oscar getting a special treatment because he's an Olympian or Paralympic, and that is Oscar receiving a lighter sentence because of the money, or is Oscar receiving a lighter sentence because of the color of his skin? These are the questions that are really coming up.
Oh, well, is there any way is there a better way, for instance, that the case could have been handled?
I think, the question that has been asked has been a very simple question of a prescribed minimum sentence for a murder charge is 15 years. This is a minimum prescribed sentence. And the question that's coming in is that how is it that you can still look at a prescribed minimum sentence and go below the prescribed minimum? And the question is being asked around that issue of minimum. Is it minimum sentence for others, or is it a minimum sentence for everyone? There is still that confusion that comes within to say, does Judge Masipa really have an understanding of the charge itself? And you remember $7 Chihuahuas and all those issues coming into play in this case. And now the question is coming up to say, is it favoritism? Does she have a soft spot for Oscar, or doesn't she understand the charge or the crime that has been committed by Oscar Pistorious?
And does this whole case have any impact on the way the South African judicial system is perceived at this time?
I think it does. I think it has got a very strong bearing of saying, does the South African legal system, and specifically the judiciary, does it favor some, or is it for all of us? Is it being persuaded by who the person is, or is it judging cases fairly and without any prejudice? And that case has now been brought very much into the public. Hopefully that what is going around is that people are saying, hopefully that the state will take the issue again, perhaps for review of the sentence, trying to get a little bit lengthier sentence than what Oscar
All right,
has been
thank
given.
you. Thank you very much, Lucas Malloy, for talking to us on the program. Coming up on Network Africa, a protest by Zimbabwean taxi drivers against the police crackdown turns violent. Please join us again.